Hi guys, it's Miss Jessup hopping on to give you your math lesson today. Before we get started, you want to get some notebook paper, a pencil, and be ready to draw along with me, just like we do when we're in our small group math learning. So, let's jump right in. But as you guys know, we are still learning about fractions. And we've been doing did a lot of fractions with our shapes, with our rectangles and circles, and then we moved into fractions on a number line, and that's where we're going to continue today. So let's start. We're going to draw a number line with an endpoint of 1 and 2. So follow along with me. So my number line, I'm going to draw arrows at the end of both ends, and we're going to start the beginning of my number line with the number 1. And I'm going to end it with number 2, just like this. And you can draw that along on your paper. So, what we've been talking about with our number lines is our endpoints have been 0 and 1. But today we're starting with 1 and 2. So, where has the 0 gone? Well, it didn't disappear. It is to the left of the 1. The arrow on the number line tells us that there are more numbers, we just don't see them. It's kind of as if we took a picture of a number line, but we only took the piece that shows us from 1 to 2. So, we're going to partition this number line into 4 equal groups, 4 equal lengths. So, if we're doing 4 equal groups, what unit are we using? Fourths, exactly. So, if we're making fourths, how many lines do we need? Remember, we always do one less, so we would do 3. And is 3 even or is it odd? 3 is odd, so we can start directly in the middle with our first line. Because remember, we want to start in the middle and work our way out so that we have equal parts. So here, we've done our 1 line, and we need 2 more, so we can do 1 on each side. So from 1 to the middle, I'm going to cut it in half. And from the middle to the end, I'm going to cut it in half. And then I can count to make sure I have 4 equal groups. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we have made fourths. Our number line doesn't start at 0. So we can't start at 0 fourths. So how many fourths would be in one whole? Exactly, we would do 4 fourths for one whole. Now, since our whole numbers are below, I'm going to label my fractions on the top. So we're going to put 4 fourths on the top. 4 fourths on the top. You can do that on your number line as well. So anything I'm writing on my whiteboard, I want you to be writing on your paper. So we will label 4 fourths at the whole number 1. Can we label the rest of the fractions all the way up to 2? Yeah, we definitely can. So if this is 4 fourths, this fourth would be 5 fourths, 6 fourths, 7 fourths, and 2 wholes would be 8 fourths, just like that. So, how many fourths are in one whole? We said there was 4 fourths. So, we call that equivalent. One whole is equivalent to 4 fourths, or equal to. So what if we go look at the whole number 2? Did we find a fraction that is equivalent to 2 wholes? Yes, 8 fourths. 8 fourths is equivalent to 2 wholes. I wonder, what if our number line continued to go, what fraction would be equivalent to or the same as 3? Well, we would need to count up 4 more fourths. So think about that for a second. We have 8 fourths equivalent to 2. So if our number line was to continue going to 3, how many fourths would it be? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 fourths would be equivalent to the whole number 3. All right, Let's draw another number line. I'm going to erase mine, but you can just draw yours underneath on your notebook paper. So, we're going to draw another number line. We're going to do arrows on the ends again. We're going to start at 2, end at 4. So draw your number line just like mine. We're starting at the whole number 2 and ending at the whole number 4. Now we can place the number 3. Where should number 3 go? It would be directly between 2 and 4. So right in the middle of our number line, we can label the whole number 3. Now we can partition each whole into 3 equal lengths or 3 equal groups. Well, what unit do we make when we make 3 equal groups? Thirds. So we're going to make thirds from 2 to 3 and thirds from 3 to 4. Let's start with 2 to 3. Well, if I'm making thirds, how many lines would I draw? Only 2. Is 2 even or is 2 odd? 2 is even. So we cannot start in the middle. We need to go around the middle. So I'm holding my finger in the middle and I will make my lines around it, just like so. Now I can count my equal groups. 1, 2, 3. Did I correctly make thirds? Yes, I did. Now let's look between 3 and 4. Again, we want to make 3 equal groups to show the unit thirds. Well, if we're making 3 equal groups, how many lines will we make? 1 less. So we make 2 lines or 2 brackets. 2 is even or odd? It's even, so we cannot start in the middle. We have to go around the middle. So I'll put my finger where the middle would be to help me estimate, and I'm going to go around the middle. Now I can count again to check. 1, 2, 3. I have 3 equal spaces or 3 equal lengths. So that means I've correctly made thirds. To label the number line that starts at 2, we have to know how many thirds are equivalent to 2 wholes. Because we're starting here, but we have thirds. Well, 3 thirds made 1 whole. So if we count up 3 more, we can find out how many thirds would make 2 wholes. So 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 thirds would be equivalent to 2 wholes. We found an equivalent fraction, so I'm putting it in a box. It is equivalent to 2 wholes. I'm going to continue and label the rest of my thirds on my number line. I want you to do the same with your number line on your paper. So 3 6, next would be, 6 thirds. So the next would be 7 thirds. Then we have 8 thirds. Then we have 9 thirds. Then we have 10 thirds, 11 thirds, and 12 thirds. Now we can think about what fractions are equivalent to each wholes. We already discovered that 2 whole is equivalent to 6 thirds. So what fraction of thirds is equivalent to 3? 9 thirds. So we can put it in a box. Then 4 wholes would be equivalent to 12 thirds. So we can also put that in a box to show that we've found the equivalent amount to the wholes. Let's do one more together before you're ready to work on your packet work this week. Let's draw another number line. I'm doing a video. And we're going to have our first endpoint at 3, and then our last endpoint will be at 6. 3, 4, 5, 6. We're missing 2 whole numbers. So we need to place them on our number line. Well, if we've got to add in 2 more whole numbers, we can't go directly in the middle because 2 is even. So again, I'm going to show myself where the middle would be and go around that to do 4 and then 5. I hope you're writing the same thing on your paper at home. Now, I want to divide between my holes into 2 equal parts. Well, if we're making 2 equal parts, what unit are we making? Halves, exactly. So halves are easy. It's 2 equal parts, so we only draw 1 line. And when you draw 1 line, you get to start directly in the middle. So between 3 and 4, I can make a half. Between 4 and 5, I can make a half. Between 5 and 6, I can make another half. So between each one of my holes, I have 2 equal parts. 2 equal parts, 2 equal parts. Now, I need to figure out how many halves I have at 3 holes. Well, when I have 1 hole, how many halves do we have? 2. If we go up 2 more, we would have the whole number 2, so 3, 4. If we go up 1 more to 3, we would have 5, 6. So for the whole number 3, we have 6 halves. That tells me that 3 is equivalent to 6 halves. Now I'm ready to label the rest of my number line in halves. I want you to do the same at home. Let's label our number line. 6 halves, 7 halves, 8 halves, 9 halves, 10 halves, 11 halves, and 12 halves. Now I can look back over my number line and find the whole numbers that are equivalent to the different fractions using the unit halves. So we found out that 3 is equivalent to 6 halves. What about 4? 4 is equivalent to 8 halves. Now let's look at 5. 5 is equivalent to 10 halves. And last, 6 is equivalent to 12 halves. Are you noticing any patterns when we're finding our whole numbers with our equivalent fractions using different units? Well, I want you to continue looking for those patterns as you work on your packet today. So in your packet on the day labeled Monday, you have this paper. They've done an example for you first. They've also labeled your whole numbers at the bottom of each number line. You're going to use the units they tell you about in the beginning to label your number lines with the fractions that would be equivalent to your wholes, doing just like we just did together. So first, you know you're doing thirds, so you need to partition between both of the holes into thirds, and then you can label all your fractions on the top. You'll continue to do that, but be careful when you get down here because you have 2 holes. So you will have to label your halves inside of each hole, just like we've done together. Then on the other side, you're going to have 3 different story problems to solve. For the first 2, they've started your number line for you, and for the last one, you need to write your own number line. If you have any questions or concerns while you're working in your packet, please do not hesitate to send me a message on Dojo. I will be more than happy to help you guys. I miss you each so much. Have a great start to the week, getting back into our fractions. Love you. Bye.